Hello doctors, my name is Santosh Raut. I am a clinical prosthetist. During Ottobock's 20 plus years of experience in dealing with Indian amputees, we had some key learnings about amputation surgeries. We used to share this with you so that you can make informed decisions and together we can optimize prosthetic outcomes. I will take you through various aspects related to the topic. Let's start with the residual limb role, and before that let's quickly review the rehabilitation goal for a patient who has undergone amputation due to diabetic foot complications. Mobility is important for everyone for various reasons, including maintaining good physical and mental health. For a diabetic patient, mobility further helps in creating more favorable conditions in responding to various ongoing treatments. After amputation, the mobility is impaired and the burden shifts to the sound leg, which is not that sound after all. One of the key goals of prosthetic rehabilitation in diabetic condition is to reduce the burden of sound leg by making the prosthetic side more efficient. And for that, the prosthesis need to have these key features. The residual limb at the same time has to be engineered specifically to support rehabilitation process and achieve the desired outcome. While planning an amputation surgery, surgical considerations are further validated with other considerations to take a holistic approach. Prosthetic consideration is one of them. The end goal is to produce a viable residual limb that is functional in nature. In diabetes specifically, majority of the amputations are at the foot level. Hence, a ulcer-free plantigrade foot is the one most sought after. Human foot transfers the body weight to the ground. However, after amputation, this task is performed by the residual limb. Because of different activities, forces invariably act on the residual limb inside the socket environment. Dr. Sanders and Dr. Burgess identified 5 forces inside the socket environment that can be managed but not eliminated. Further, the residual limb, which used to be part of a musculoskeletal system section, is suddenly retasked with a number of roles other than supporting the body weight or tolerating pressure. Some of these roles are powering ambulation, controlling the prosthesis, feedback collection, and so on. Even though the modern prostheses are efficient, the residual limb need to be engineered specifically to enable it to perform several tasks. There are different levels of amputation. Specifically here we are talking about lower limb, and the selection of these levels are well established. Our experience shows the sedentary or very senior diabetic patients may do better with limb salvage and minor amputations, whereas more active people may have better functional outcomes with early major amputation. However, this may not be possible always, as it needs willingness of the patient and the family to go through what is required. For a quality mobility life with a prosthesis, stability in the residual limb is necessary. Now let us review available prosthetic solutions at different amputation levels and then revisit the bony and soft tissue engineering side of the amputation surgery. In diabetes, we mainly see lower limb amputations and predominantly at the foot level, such as the toe, partial ray, transmetatarsal, followed by transtibial and transfemoral. Let us start with toe amputation. The number of toe amputation is relatively high among all amputations in diabetes. It ranges from complete toe to partial toe and distal cymes. The rehabilitation management is more effective up to 2 toe amputations. The patients usually do well in beginning stage as the functional loss is minimum and the patient can manage without a prosthesis. However, long range outlook for a toe amputee may not be very positive. Hence, using a proper diabetic shoe along with prosthetic and orthotic solution is advisable. There are mainly 2 types of solutions. The first one is a silicone toe with a built-in strap extension for suspension purpose. The prosthesis fits snugly to the residual limb. By filling the gap that is created due to amputation, the prosthesis prevents adjacent toes from crowding or deviating. The special grade silicone used in this type of prosthesis are soft, flexible, easy to clean and helps in maintaining hygiene. This type of solutions works only in few patients, especially with stable residual limb physiology. The second solution is a custom-made diabetic insole with toe filler, which is always used along with a diabetic shoe. It is a more widely used solution as it helps address a number of issues and accommodate different type of toe amputations along with the underlying condition of the foot. The insole is basically made of multiple layers. The bottommost layer provides stability, the middle layers provide cushioning, and the top skin interface layer is made of material of low sore value that helps to absorb shearing forces. Since the insole is fully custom made, the foot contour can be reproduced. Specific areas can be supported to derive biomechanical advantages, with specific high risk areas can be offloaded. So toe fillers in this case cannot only be made to specification but also can be altered to accommodate changes in the residual limb condition. So whether the silicone toe prosthesis or the insole, the amputation area interface is always challenging in managing pressure. While walking and during activities, this segment is not static, as the residual limb itself is bending, flexing from different joints. The stump has different contact pressure points in different position of action. This contact pressure cannot be fully eliminated, however, specific stump engineering can help manage them better. At toe level, there are different sub-level of amputations and associated techniques. Purely from a device application point of view, three things are important. First, the stump area must be well padded. Hence, if necessary, longer plantar flap should be preferred over bone length. Second, closure or the suture line should be placed away from both the weight bearing area as well as the rollover area. We understand that it is not always possible. And lastly, the bone edge must be beveled and smoothened. Next is ray level amputation. Prosthetic management of ray level amputation is challenging. It needs more holistic approach and periodic follow-up than other level of amputation. We normally see these three types of ray amputation: the medial, the intermediate, and the lateral. Besides using a good diabetic shoe, there are mainly two types of solution used at this level. The first one is silicone toe, custom made to fit the patient. These toes are held in place by silicone straps that are built into the toe. The primary role of this solution is to restore lever arm. The flexibility in the material helps in walking by providing controlled rollover, though it works very well in trauma cases. However, it is somewhat limited in application in diabetic cases. For reasons like this solution require a stable residual limb physiology. In diabetes and ray level amputation, the limb physiology is not static and needs constant assessment and alteration to accommodate changes. The next solution is diabetic shoes with custom made insoles. These special insoles have many advantages. Firstly, they are built in certain way to influence the biomechanics. For example, the built-in plantar support can help maintain the subtalar and other residual limb joints in a more functional position and prevent them from deforming and causing ulceration in other locations. Depending on type of ray amputation, specific local fillers can be incorporated, which helps prevent deviation of the adjacent residual limb segment and prevent associated complications. The inner lining layer of the insole have lower sore value, which absorbs shearing forces and prevents skin breakdown. The foot that has undergone ray level amputation are vulnerable to different type of deformities and associated pressure. Prostheses and orthoses that are meant for this level of amputation do have specific arrangements to maintain the functional position of the residual foot. However, like the toe level, there are contact pressure on the stump during mobility, and especially the anterodistal corner area face more pressure. Hence, long-term mobility with a prosthesis and viability of this type of residual limb will improve by specific bony and soft tissue engineering. From our experience, we see the amount of bone resection somewhere affects the outcome. Shorter metatarsal length and more plantar tissue coverage has long-term benefit over longer bone and shorter tissue coverage. This way, the prosthetic and orthotic management can be done more efficiently and recurrence of ulcer can be prolonged. Beveling of bone is another crucial aspect that has direct correlation with prosthetic and orthotic compliance. especially with the first ray, the medial and the anteroproximal anterodistal beveling can reduce pressure points. It also provides more scope to prepare a biomechanically sound solution. Next is transmetatarsal level. It is one of the amputation at foot level that produce a relatively more durable residual limb. There are three types of solution for this level. First is the custom-made silicone partial foot, insole with filler. The solution is always used with a diabetic shoe. And the last option is a lightweight ankle foot orthosis where the insole with filler is incorporated. This solution is particularly useful in cases where additional ankle stability is needed. There are pressure points at the plantar areas. The ankle movement can be controlled through trimlines of the orthosis. In fact, we use this concept in certain ray and toe level amputation as well when there are additional conditions to be treated. With respect to bone shaping, we have near similar recommendation that of ray and toe level. However, with respect to soft tissues, long plantar flap is crucial to transmetatarsal level. This not only provides a smooth transition of pressure during rollover, but also helps avoid premature ulcerations. The metatarsals can be appropriately shortened to accommodate this. And here additionally the ML beveling is particularly important. During walking, the load line is concentrated around the second ray. Hence the second ray should be the longest and the first ray should be at the same level and then beveled to the medial side. The third and fourth metatarsal should be beveled to the lateral side from this level. It should be slightly conical as shown here. A unique challenge we face at this level is the equinus and the overpronation deformity. The advantage gained through surgery is significantly reduced due to this, and we also see greater deformity with longer gap between the surgery and the prosthetic fitment. In trauma cases, tendo-Achilles lengthening is very useful in levels like Chopard, Lisfranc and transmetatarsal. We understand that in case of diabetic this may not be possible. However, adopting other non-surgical measures during surgery and post-surgery scenario can be very helpful.